So anyways, I met him in, I met Phiwe in 2017. I met him through a mutual friend of ours, more of his friend actually, but I had worked with him in the industry. He's my ex. Who is this person to me? He, we basically hit it off immediately. We dated for about 2 years. So in the beginning of the relationship, everything flowed very well. We were pretty much, we were like a normal happy couple. He told me he was a property developer. He told me that he owned a couple of hotels and properties around Johannesburg and Cape Town and Eastern Cape. And he drove very like this was actually the first guy with money that I'd ever dated. I'd never dated a guy with money before. So it's crazy to me that his sister's saying that I was trying to ride a gravy train, but we're going to get into that. And yeah, it was a happy relationship. He drove very nice cars, you know, but he never actually had a place of his own. He told me that he lived at his hotel where he worked. He lived at the hotel where he worked. And I wasn't allowed to go there. I wasn't allowed to go see his apartment. So most of the time we spent time together indoors was at my place, at my apartment in Roodepoort. I had a small little 2-bedroom apartment there. I used to love that apartment. And I paid rent there the whole time. Phiwe never paid, not one time. He never paid rent, not one time. There was never a single time that he ever contributed towards the rent in the year that he spent at my place. So it was like shaky. You know, he claimed to be one thing, but in the beginning of the relationship, there's certain things that I could pick up. Like he would say, you know, he would say certain things and then forget that he said them. You know, when somebody tells you that he's doing this or he's this type of person, and then next thing, and he didn't want to introduce me to this business partner that he claimed to have at the time, who he was spending a curious amount of time with, which was this elderly Chinese lady. At the time, he told me that she was 66, and I was very uncomfortable with their relationship. There was even this one time where I found messages between them that were just baby, and he told me that baby means friend in Mandarin. And I was like, baby means friend in Mandarin. I Googled it and I was like, baby doesn't mean, it's like, no, it's like a Mandarin slang. And I was like, okay. I was extremely uncomfortable with it. So I gave him an ultimatum that, you know, he would have to do something about that situation, that living arrangement there, because I'm uncomfortable with him going back to this place where he shares with his business partner that he calls baby, and he's spending awkward times with and traveling with and all of these weird things. And that was pretty much the main issue in the relationship. And him constantly at my place and me not knowing where his toothbrush is or where his clothes are or where, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know where my man sleeps when he's not sleeping at my place where I live. So that was just an issue for me. That caused a great deal of the issue. That was one of the first shady things that I picked up about him. And then eventually he told me that he was going to leave that place. He was going to, you know, he was going to move out. And God, I'm shaking. He told me he was going to move out. And he told me that basically this lady was dying of cancer. And that's why it was complicated. He couldn't just leave because she was sick. And so he had to continue to be there to help take care of her. And eventually, you know, he's going to find a way to like move out of the place or whatever. Naturally, that never happened. But there was a point where he had promised me, I obviously didn't know at the time that it was one of his many lies, but he had promised me that we were going to get married the next year, we're going to have children. And we went, Phiwe took my car. He took my BMW. He said that he was going to go fix it. So my BMW had a dent. It had a dent on the left side, and then also the mirror was like big. And so he took my car, he took my BMW, so naturally I, you know, let him take it. Thank you, my man's gonna do something nice for me, you know. I have not seen my BMW since. That was in 2017. I have not seen my BMW since. Shortly after that, Phiwe and I, not shortly after, a couple of months later, I'm going to try and summarize this the best way I can. That's the first issue. I'm still going to get into the BMW issue again. That's the first issue. This was part of the reason why I'm doing this live. What part of the reason why I'm exposing him. And I'm going to explain how now the debt that I'm incurring as a result of that BMW that I haven't seen in 5 years, I'm still paying for it today. I'm still paying for that BMW today. But I have not seen my car in 5 years. So he took my car to Lungis. It turns out he gave it to his cousin. I don't know what his cousin did with it. And it has been a wild goose chase ever since. How he came about getting me the Range Rover. It was New Year's Eve. We went to a party that one of his friends was hosting in Centurion. And on our way back, we got into a fight. And I can't even remember what the fight was about. But things were already tense. Anyway, we got home, we were drunk, we slept on it, woke up in the morning. And mind you, this guy had laced me with alcohol. We had literally he had bought me booze after booze after booze at this party. So when we got home, I was drunk. So he wakes up. So what he was used to is that every morning I would wake up and make him breakfast. Every single morning I would wake up, make him breakfast, iron his clothes, put them on the bed, shine his shoes. I was literally this dude's cheerleader, maid, best friend, you name it, I was everything. I was fully committed to this man. So that was what he was used to. Every morning I'd wake up, make him something to eat, breakfast in bed, some coffee, some cereal, whatever. Anyway, long story short, guys, we had a back and forth argument. And he's like, I do this, and I'm like, I do this, and da-da-da-da-da. Just one of those toxic arguments that any respectful couple should never have. And eventually, he made the threat. He said something I want to make sure that I quote him word for word. He said something along the lines of, you're actually pissing me off now. And I said to him, if you lay a hand on me, and next thing I remember, I blacked out because he had pounced on me from across the room. Next thing I was standing, next thing I was on the floor. Next thing I'm blacking out again. And I'm seeing him like, what are you doing? Blacking out again. I'm blackout. He's hitting me in the face. Like I'm seeing stars. At some point I remember he had his knees on my shoulders and he had his hands around my neck. And I said to him, you're killing me, you're gonna kill me. And he said, and he carried on beating me. We started this argument on one side of the room. By the time he stopped beating me, I was on the floor in the bathroom and he was standing above me. And he said again, what did I do to deserve this? Why are you making me become this person? And I remember I was just crying, telling him, please just stop. Please stop. And so this is how the Range Rover came about. After he had beaten me up for the first time, he felt guilty. That was in January. The Range Rover was not a Valentine's Day gift. The Range Rover was bought in January. In fact, for the first few days after he had beaten me up, I have the pictures. I'm going to post them after this on my stories of my eye and my face that day. After this happened, my mom came and she counseled us. I didn't call the cops because at the time I was in love and I believed him when he said he was sorry. I mean, he was immediately remorseful. And so when he bought the Range Rover, my BMW still had not returned, by the way. It had been a couple of months since he'd taken my BMW, Esituyo Yungis. It still had not come back. So he got me this Range Rover. So how it happened is we went to go look. He told me that he's going to go test drive this new car. He knew that a Range Rover was like one of my favorite cars ever. And in fact, a couple of days before, he had said something along the lines of, I want to get you a car. And I was like, no, don't get me a car. Let's work on our plans for next year. We want to get married next year. We want to have children. So instead, let's move out of my little apartment and get a place together. And then, once we've settled those expenses, we'll think about getting things like nice cars and whatever. He was like, no, I'll do that and get you a car. He insisted. So when he was like, let's go look at these cars, let me go look at this car I want to test drive, I was like, okay, cool. I kind of had a hunch that he was probably going to get me this car, but I didn't think he would do it that soon. So we test drove the car. I told him I liked it. It was really nice. Next thing, he's like, it's yours. And I was like, oh my God. I'm sure you guys saw all those pictures when I was like, oh my God, wow. I was really, really happy. I was truly grateful. It was actually one of the happiest moments of my life because that was my dream car. And I was grateful. I was very, very grateful. And then, so he told me that I needed to do the paperwork myself because he was putting it in my name. So the arrangement was he was going to pay for the Range Rover for 3 months. At the time, he was doing a deal in Tanzania with a Tanzanian tycoon where he was developing property. I'm sure you guys will also see if you track back my posts. There was a time where I went to Tanzania with him on like a little mini vacation. He was actually developing property there. And then he told me I should come, and then we turned it into a vacation because he knew how much I loved Tanzania and I loved the beaches. Everybody knows that I'm partially a hippie girl. So he knows I love water, I love beautiful scenery. So he was like, come through, we'll turn it into like a vacation. So anyways, he was brokering this deal in Tanzania with this Tanzanian billionaire or tycoon or whatever, where he was developing some property. He was developing some hotels alongside some of the islands there. That deal fell through. He didn't even tell it. So he told me that he was waiting for a huge payout from this deal. 5 months, 6, 7, 8 months. On the 8th month, we broke up. And that's when he stopped paying for the car. Meaning now, when MFC debits me, they're going to debit whatever money is in my account. So this is where the BAP started. So MFC is now debiting imali in my account that I have put aside for my life, for my rent, for my daily expenses, my money now. Ne? And this is what has been happening. Yeah, this is why the situation is like this. This is what I mean when I say this guy's put me in debt. So now I'm not only paying for the Range Rover, I'm also paying for the BMW. So now I'm paying for 2 cars. Crazy part of the story is that there was a point where we actually had an argument about this at some point. And this guy literally told me, what you're afraid of is, like, because I kept asking him, I kept badgering him about my BMW. And he was like, but I told you that it's in a safe place and that you're going to get it back. But I'm like, you told me that you're going to fix it. You're going to return it. I haven't seen it since. And he was like, no, you have a car. You have a Range Rover. And I was like, yeah, but this Range Rover, you haven't paid it off. And he literally said to me, I will never forget, this man literally with a straight face said to me, what you're afraid of is you're afraid that at some point I'm going to make away with your BMW and then stop paying for the Range Rover. And then now you'll be liable for 2 debts. Is that what you're afraid of? And in the back of my mind, the first thing that came to mind was yes. But because I didn't want to come across as, like a girlfriend that didn't trust him or was, disloyal, I said, no, babe, I trust you. I know you would never do that to me. He's like, so what's the issue? And biggest mistake of my life. So that's how the Range Rover came about. I'm going to do this the best way I can, guys. I'm literally telling you this story in drips and drabs. It's hard to explain because this is like something that spanned over like the course of 5 years. So I'm trying, I'm nervous. I'm going to try and explain it the best way I can. Park the Range Rover story. So now we know what's happened with the BMW. Amongst all of this man tells me that I should leave my label, my music label. I was signed to Gallo at the time. He told me that I should leave my music label and he was going to register a label and sign me. So Nyanike, love of my life, future husband, I trust anything that he tells me. I left my label and he registered a label. And at the time it sounded so romantic, like your man literally registered a whole music label just to sign you. It kind of sounds like, whoa, love lives here. Does it? Registered this label, and then he asked me to get some people to help him. I sourced a guy, a friend of mine. He's since passed away, so I don't want to mention his name, but he was the one who was helping us, get licensing, get a licensing label, get my music on Spotify and Apple and things like that, and doing our PR and stuff like that. And then I also sourced, he sourced some producers that he still has. Yo, guys, hey, this man has made a mess of my life. So you saw some producers, these young producers, very talented guys. We started recording my previous album. And yeah, I was in studio every night. Sometimes I'd even sleep in studio. We worked very hard on it, and we came up with a really good album. I had a photographer at the time who was, and this photographer he shot me for free. But this guy, Phiwe, had already sent the album through to Musica without my permission, without me even agreeing to the cover. And he used the cover that was used for a previous album. So anyways, yeah, signed to his label. We did the album. I recall only doing one gig with him, and it was at Soweto Theatre. Phiwe got paid for that gig. I never got a cent from it. I think they paid about 30 or 40,000 rands. I never got a cent from that gig. He got paid. The agreement with me signing to his label was that he was going to invest 450,000 rands. To go towards videos, PR, all the stuff that you need to, put an album out there and make it big. Never shot any videos. Even the photographer was sourced by me, and he shot me for free because he was a friend of mine. Never paid the producers. Till this day, I don't have access to my music. I can't perform my songs via backing track today because I don't have access to the separates. So I can't perform the music from that album except for Zupingom. Zupingom is the only backing track that I actually have access to. And the producers refused to give me access because they were not paid. Therefore, they refused to give me my separates. Right now, my album is not available on if you go stream Zipinkomo right now, Ozifuman, it's not on Spotify, it's not on Apple Music, it's not on any major streaming platform because there's some paperwork that Phiwe did not do with regards to Dynasty, and this Dynasty Entertainment was his label that he registered. This guy literally turned into Quincy Jones during the course of this whole him working on my music. Today, he tells me that he doesn't know anything about this music thing. Today, une amnesia at my expense, which means I'm losing out on money. Which means when I do gigs, I have to do all my older songs. I can't perform songs from that album today. And I can't make money off of streams, off of anything today from that album. Because I can't paperwork yak. I don't know how many times I have tried to have this discussion. Some people just don't understand the language of decency. I did not want to even have to do this. Me doing this live is beyond me. I did not want to do this. I did not want this to come to this. This is the last thing I wanted to do. This man knows how much I value my privacy. He knows how much I want to keep my private life away from the public. He knows. And so he was banking on that. He was depending on the fact that Moneoa uthanda privacy yakhe, which is why I'm Gazelle. Which is why he's on Instagram buying Maybachs, buying his step or daughter-in-law imoto. I don't know where my car is. Where is my car? The last chance I gave Phiwe, he had begged me, I'm going to find this voice note and I'm going to post it after this. If I can't find it right now, I'll post in my story so that you see I'm not lying. Phiwe begged to meet up with me to resolve this issue. To resolve the issue with both cars, to resolve the issue. Oh, wait, Yima, I'm going too far. I'm missing one more story. Hey, how could I miss this one? So, sorry, I need to track back. When Phiwe stopped paying for the range, the money was being debited from my account. So your MFC is taking money out of my account. The money that I had in my account at that time was money for rent. So njengoba ingabhatali i-range, bakhuphe imali ye-rent i-MFC. So eventually I got evicted from my place. After I got evicted, I called his parents and his dad had him come over on the day that I was getting evicted. On the day that I was getting evicted, not after, sorry. On the day I was getting evicted. And my whole family was there helping me. My brother, my mom, my mother, my aunt, my friends, my brother, my other brother, my older brother, and my younger brother. They were helping me move. So Phiwe came and he offered to take my stuff and put it in storage. And the agreement was he was going to put my stuff in storage until I found a new apartment to live in where I could put all my stuff in, right? And I told him I'm going to move into my aunt's place. I'm going to live with my aunt because my aunt had like a tiny little apartment at the back of her home. And so I told him I'm going to move to my aunt's place until I find myself a place to stay. And he was like, cool, whilst you're at aunt's, I'm going to pay until you find yourself a new apartment. I was like, cool. So he came, he put my stuff in storage. It was at Store Age here on 14th Avenue. My heart always breaks when I go past there. He put my stuff in storage. This is the majority of my things. So I had a 2-bedroom apartment. It was fully furnished. This is stuff that I'd accumulated over the years. So this is my couches, my TV, I had a dining room table. I had a fridge that I'd gifted myself on my birthday. It was a 30,000 rand fridge. Guys, ifridge yami ayithetha nam. Ifridge yami yangicelela xa ngekho manzi efrijini. I gifted myself that fridge. And anybody who knows me knows how I feel about kitchen utensils, and just because I love to cook. Cooking is like very therapeutic for me. If you follow me, if you follow my stories, you'll know. Cooking is my thing. So I had some really dope ass things. I had some expensive ass pots from Le Creuset, or Le Creuset, however you pronounce it. I had a lot of things. I had pots. I had, it was a fully furnished apartment. I had, a bed. I had, isn't like the second bedroom actually wasn't even like, there wasn't a bed in the second bedroom. I used it as a closet just because I had so many clothes and shoes and things like that. So everything that you can think of that could fully furnish a 2-bedroom apartment, that's what I had. And that's the majority of the things that he put in storage that day. This man stopped paying for my stuff in storage, ne? And he never told me. He registered his name at the storage. So Pale, his name, his phone number, his email, his address, ne? So Jengoba, he stopped paying. The storage is sending him messages like, you have to pay or we're going to do this. You have to pay, we're going to do this. They're sending him all of this stuff. Now I have no idea. I took the little things that I took with me. I'm thinking all my things are safe. My dishwasher, my washing machine, my fridge, my TV, yonkindo. Because my aunt's apartment was already fully furnished itself. So I didn't have to take much. I think I took like 1 pot, a few clothes, and, just a few things. Because I wasn't planning to stay there for long. I ended up staying for a while, but whatever. This man stopped paying after a month or 2 months. And I can't recall, I'm going to have to check the documents now. He stopped paying after a month or 2 months. And he did not tell me. So by the time that I found out my stuff had been auctioned off, everything that I had was auctioned off. Like everything, my clothes, my shoes, my stuff, everything. Think of everything you have in your home. And then all of it is never said anything. At the end of the day, I think I was owing something like 6,000 or 7,000 rand at that storage. I could have paid that. All he had to do was tell me, I'm no longer paying for the storage. Go sort out your storage. Fine, I would have paid it. For what I had, I would have paid it. I lost over 500,000 rands worth of belongings. I lost things that I will never get back. Things that I could never buy. I had this beautiful black book that I'd been like collecting memories in it and pictures. I had a picture of my great-grandmother. My grandmother's grandmother, my great-grandmother. Black and white picture from like the 1910s. Just some things that are just so priceless that I will never get back. And yeah, I lost everything. I pretty much lost everything that day. I called Phiwe and I told him what had happened, and he was like, no, don't worry, I'll sort it out. Tried to call him again, blocked. Blocked or phoned off or whatever the case was. But I couldn't get a hold of him after that. One of his many disappearing stunts. He does that. When he starts to feel invincible or whatever, he does this thing of just ignoring texts and calls. And for him, I can see why his sister's was whiling today. Because I know that he tells them a different story to the things that he does to me. He doesn't tell them the truth. So he'll be like, oh, Moneoa's, like the other day, I'm extorting him for asking for him to pay for the things that are being debited out of my account today as a result of the debt that he put me in. I never wanted that Range Rover. What I wanted was a future for us to build together. I never wanted that car. He insisted on it because he knew. Can I tell you guys, I didn't even want to post that Range Rover. I didn't even want to post it. The only reason why I posted in February is because Nguye Owati post it. It was going to help me with my career. It's like, I'm helping you with your album. Yeah, this is going to it's going to spruce up your album. It's going to add hype. So post. And yeah, it did. It did help. I thought it was a very smart move. It made sense. It was logical. But I didn't want to post because he knows my privacy is everything to me. I didn't want to post. I'm not flashy about my life. And I don't have much, and I'm not ashamed of that. I saw his sister today posting that, she lives in Waterfall and my apartment was run down. I have no shame in my rundown apartment. It's my apartment. I earned it. It's run down, but it's mine. I worked for it. I have no shame in that. I have no shame in the little things that I have, in the cheap things that I have. I have no shame. I walk at H&M, Nazim price, with my head held high, babes. I wear my cheap clothes and my cheap ndondoons with pride because I have no shame in my life. Yeah, I'm not used to Louis Vuitton bags and this and this and that. I'm not ashamed of that. Those are not the things that matter to me. This is specifically why your brother fell in love with me. This is specifically the things that he used to say he loved about me. So for him to do this to me, of all people, is beyond shocking for me. And the arrogance that this man has about it today, the last conversation I had with him, telling him, I sent him a screen grab of my banking app to say, this is the amount that came out of my account. This is the amount that came out of my account. So when I expect you to pay for certain things, it is because I've been debited here, 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 and here. 25,000 rands, 15,000 rands. NFC is still debiting me today. The BMW is still debiting me today. I've given back my Range Rover, by the way, and Sunday, I don't have a car, guys. I have a car, but I don't have a car today. This nigga's driving around in Maybachs, and he has my car. And I sound crazy. I'm crazy, mna. I'm the crazy one for wanting to speak out, for wanting to stand up for myself. This man physically abused me for the entire duration of our relationship. And I think that was the trigger for me today. I actually thought twice about this live. I actually wasn't going to do it. I said I was going to do it, and then I was like, actually not. But when I saw his sister Wylan, the disrespect, it's kind of like it adds insult. What is it? It adds fuel to the fire. It adds, I'm so tense. It adds don't to insult to injury.